But where we begin tonight is with a mystery solved. Why, if you're a Democratic member of Congress, you would want to fight tooth and nail against your own party on the biggest issue facing the country right now. There are as many different solutions to that mystery as there are conservative Democrats in Congress. But for the man who's become the poster child for Democrats blocking their own party's efforts to reform health care, for the lead conservative blue dog Democrat on health care, for the House's most vocal Democratic opponent of a public health insurance option, a public option that's favored by the Democratic president, by the Democratic Party leadership, by the majority of people in the country, by the majority of people in his home state, and according to new polling, by the overwhelming majority of Democrats in his own district. For Congressman Mike Ross of Arkansas, the mystery may allegedly, at least, perhaps, be solved. Today, Politico published investigative reporting about Mike Ross by a reporter named Marcus Stern. He reported it for ProPublica. If you're looking for a possible explanation for Mike Ross's stance against his own party and his own constituents on health reform, consider this. In 2007, Mike Ross and his wife had a piece of property to sell. It was a pharmacy that they owned and operated in Prescott, Arkansas, a small town that's about 100 miles southwest of Little Rock. At the time, the county estimated the value of that property at about $263,000. An independent appraisal done recently puts the current value even lower than that, at about $198,000. But when it came time to sell, Mike Ross sure did beat the odds. Despite that assessment at $263,000, despite the independent appraisal at $198,000, Mike Ross sold that property for $420,000. Cha-ching. The only licensed real estate broker in that town was just as surprised as you are right now. He told ProPublica, quote, "You can buy half the town for $420,000. Who was the buyer who gave Congressman Ross such a sweet deal? It was a company called USA Drug, the 15th largest drugstore chain in the country. If getting 60% more than its estimated value for your property seems a little fishy to you, you may have a future career in Arkansas property assessment, because it seemed fishy to the county's assessors as well. When they heard that someone was paying $420,000 for that property, they actually called the person buying it. They called the company. They called USA Drug's headquarters, essentially to make sure that there hadn't been some mistake. There wasn't a mistake. This drugstore chain apparently just wanted to pay this congressman an extra $150,000, $200,000 for his property. And USA Drug's payments to Congressman Ross and his wife did not stop there. On top of the $420,000 they paid for the property, USA Drug also paid the Rosses between $500,000 and $1 million for the assets of the pharmacy. In addition to that, they paid Congressman Ross's wife between $100,000 and $250,000 for signing a non-compete agreement. The company also then kept Mrs. Ross on as an employee at the property after the sale. All told, Mike Ross and his wife made between $1 million and $1.6 million. Again, off a piece of property assessed to be worth $260,000. It's not a bad day's work. And what's more, 2 weeks after the sale was complete, the owner of USA Drug sweetened it even further, made a $2,300 contribution to Congressman Ross's campaign. That was the most that an individual could give in 2007. Congressman Ross raked in more than $342,000 from health-related interests overall that year alone, more than he got from any other business sector. Since then, Congressman Ross has not only opposed the public option, despite what his constituents say they want, he's also pushed for language in the health care bill that would protect drug companies from having to negotiate for drug prices. We invited Congressman Ross to come on the show tonight to explain all of this, to explain whether there's a connection between the kind of financial largesse he has enjoyed from the health industry and his political positions in favor of those interests and against health reform. Congressman Ross declined our invitation. His office did provide us a statement which reads in part, quote, "Instead of having civil dialogue over true and substantive disagreements, outside groups are trying to taint a completely legal and respected small business that my wife and I worked hard for 14 years to establish. I welcome any debate and review on my voting record and my positions on the issue." Congressman Ross, it should be noted, is not denying the substance of this reporting, but he does point out that he disclosed all of this information on his financial statements. He says this is just gotcha politics. The congressman's full statement has been posted at our website today, rachel.msnbc.com, if you'd like to see it. Also, Congressman Ross, if you're watching, I hope you will reconsider your decision about appearing on the show to talk it over. I promise you will get a fair hearing. This new reporting about Congressman Ross and what may be behind his stance against health reform isn't the least of his political worries, but it is one worry among many. The group Change Congress is hitting the congressman with an ad now highlighting the more than $900,000 in campaign contributions he's received over multiple years from the health industry. The Political Action Committee, FDL Action, which is an outgrowth of the well-read liberal blog Fire Dog Lake, is running this ad against Congressman Ross, threatening a primary challenge against him. And today, Fire Dog Lake kicked their campaign up a notch, threatening to not only run this ad online on the internet machine and in Congressman Ross's district, but also during this Saturday's University of Arkansas Razorbacks football game against the third-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. University of Arkansas football is darn close to a religion in Arkansas, which is why we were able to tap a proud Arkansas expat at a New York City bar today in order to borrow this very, very attractive Razorbacks hat. Fire Dog Lake is trying to raise enough money to run that "Hey, Mike Ross, support the public option" ad during this weekend's Razorbacks game. And the game is being played in Alabama, which means most Arkansas fans will be watching it on the TV. Sweet, right? What's going on here is that the left is flexing its muscles. And as a result, it has been a pretty rotten few days for Democrats in Congress who oppose the public option and other elements of real health reform. But conversely, that also means that Democrats who support those things are finding their voices again.
I'm a firm believer in the public option because I think it's vital we have greater competition.
I'm a strong supporter of a strong public option.
The bill does not hold insurance companies accountable. The bill does not force insurance companies to compete for our business. Real reform, colleagues, is saying you can keep what you have, but it is also saying if you don't like what you have, you can get something better.
Joining us now is that man that you just saw there, Democratic Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon. He sits on the Senate Finance Committee, which today began the arduous task of marking up the Baucus health reform plan and debating about 564 amendments. Senator Wyden, thanks very much for taking the time to be with us on this busy day.
Thanks for having me back.
You described real choice, real reform as being able to choose something else if you don't like what you have now. That's the idea behind your Free Choice Act amendment, which is getting a lot of attention. Can you explain to us how that would work?
You've summed it up, Rachel, and it fits pretty darn well with the public option. Look, all over America, people are carrying these signs, public option or bust. They're wonderful activists, but a lot of folks haven't been told that the Congressional Budget Office says only about 12 million people in America would actually get to choose the public option. They're likely to be sicker. They're likely to be folks who haven't had good preventive health care services. To really put the consumer in the driver's seat, to give the consumer clout, to turn the tables on the insurance lobby, you've got to have a really big group. That's what I'm pushing for, and free choice is very compatible with the public option.
So the idea is that anybody should be able to get into the health exchange. It shouldn't be that if you already have insurance through your employer, that locks you out of the health exchange. That anybody can be able to join. That creates competition so that not only do we have a choice for people to get insured who can't afford insurance today, but people can also hopefully improve on the insurance they have through competition in that sort of an exchange. Is that the overall idea?
It will send a message on day one to the insurance lobby that if you abuse somebody, if you abuse one of your consumers, you rip them off, give them lousy treatment, jack up their rates, they are going to turn the tables on you. They are going to choose another product. And I think it is so important for folks to understand this is about taking on the insurance lobby with choice rather than tethering somebody to something they don't want, something they don't like. With choice, you liberate the consumer, you put them in the driver's seat rather than the insurance CEO.
The AFL-CIO today sent a letter to Finance Committee members against your amendment. They're saying that it would encourage younger, healthier workers to leave, and leaving behind in the employer-based health plans older, sicker workers, then that would make those plans too expensive to maintain. What's your reaction to their criticism?
They are just flat out wrong, and in fact the Congressional Budget Office put out an analysis today indicating that the AFL-CIO is wrong. They do not really understand what the proposal is. The Congressional Budget Office says that our idea would not destabilize the employer system. I also think that the typical union member would be pretty shocked to know that their leadership here in Washington, D.C. is lobbying for a public option that would deny more than 200 million Americans the opportunity to get it. That's not in line with the public interest. I want everybody to have real choice. I think our free choice proposal worked very well with a public option. And by the way, we got some very good news today, Rachel, because the Mayo Clinic said that they would support a public option as long as it gave people choices like members of Congress get, and I've got legislation to do that too.